Welcome. Have you ever stopped to wonder if you're just following someone else's script? Maybe it's the script your parents wrote for you, or the one society expects you to follow. It could even be the one your friends or teachers have subtly handed you. Day after day, you get up, put on your normal face, do what's expected, and go through the motions. But then, when you find yourself alone, away from the noise and distractions, a question starts to creep in. Who am I really? Carl Jung believed this feeling of disconnection wasn't by chance. It's actually a symptom of something much deeper. For many, it's the sign of a bigger issue, a problem that most people don't have the courage to face. Too many of us live our entire lives without ever truly meeting our real selves. We act out roles, create fake identities, and follow the endless expectations that are placed on us. The worst part? Many people think that this is what life is all about. They get older, they get more comfortable in their routines, and they end up leaving this world without ever really knowing who they are. So here's the real question. Are you experiencing this? When you think about it, which parts of you, your personality, your desires, your beliefs, are truly yours? And which ones have been shaped by others? From the moment we're born, we're taught to fit in, to behave a certain way, and to hide the parts of ourselves that might make others uncomfortable. We learn quickly that in order to be liked or accepted, we need to put certain pieces of ourselves away, out of sight. This is what Jung called the persona, the mask we wear to make it through life. The thing is, the longer you wear that mask, the harder it becomes to remember what's underneath it. Over time, the mask becomes all you know. Jung wasn't just talking about a little bit of self-doubt. He was talking about a deep, soul-crushing disconnection. When you lose touch with your true self, it comes with a heavy price. There's a quiet but constant ache, a sense that something's missing. No matter how successful you are, no matter how many accomplishments you rack up, you still feel like there's a hole. It's like you're on the outside looking in at your own life. And here's the hard truth. The things you're searching for, the fulfillment, the meaning, the peace, can't be found out there. They're hidden beneath all the expectations, fears, and forgotten truths that you've buried. You already have what you need. It's just buried under layers of conditioning. Reclaiming your true self is no small task. It takes guts. It requires honesty with yourself, and maybe even confronting the parts of you that you'd rather not face. But as difficult as it is, it's the only way to unlock real freedom. Jung called this journey individuation, a lifelong process of integrating all the pieces of who you are and becoming your authentic self. From a young age, we're all taught that certain behaviors are required to fit in. Maybe you were told to always be nice, to keep your anger in check, or to be the peacemaker. Perhaps you were raised to be strong, to hide your vulnerability, and to put on a confident face, even when everything inside you was falling apart. Without realizing it, over time, you started to build an identity based on what others expected from you, instead of who you truly are. This persona, the mask you wear, became essential for surviving in a world full of expectations. Everyone has one. It helps us fit in, to play different roles depending on the situation. But here's the danger. When you start to believe that the persona is the only thing you are, it's like you've built a prison around your true self. How many times have you said yes when you wanted to say no, just to avoid judgment? How often have you held back your true feelings, choosing to stay silent instead of speaking your mind? How many times have you smiled when you really wanted to scream? Eventually, the persona starts to take over. It becomes less of a mask and more of your reality. You start living like you're acting in someone else's story. And while the persona may bring you some level of success or approval, it will never fill the void inside you. You might be admired, even loved, but something deep within will always feel unfulfilled. The longer you live through the persona, the emptier you'll feel. Even if you can't fully pinpoint what's wrong, that sense of missing something will always be there. The more you hold on to that mask, the further you drift away from who you truly are. At some point, you have to make a choice. Will you continue to live for everyone else's expectations, or will you find the courage to live for yourself? The road to discovering your true self isn't an easy one, but it's the only path that leads to a fulfilling, meaningful life. It's a journey that, although challenging, will ultimately lead you back to the peace and purpose you've been searching for all along. If the person is not you, who are you? To answer that question, we must look to the shadow, your suppressed, unconscious personality. Jung dubbed the shadow persona's evil counterpart. It encompasses all the parts of yourself you've run away from or degraded. Despite popular belief, the shadow is not evil. Its contents are often elements of you that others rejected. As a child, you may have been curious but informed you were annoying, so you kept quiet. If you voiced anger and were punished, you may now bottle it up until it erupts. Perhaps you were sensitive, but society taught you that sensitivity is weakness, so you hide your feelings. These pieces remained. They plunge beneath, into the shadow. They remain waiting. When you lash out, feel envy, or crumble under criticism, you see your shadow. Your unconscious is attempting to attract your attention. The shadow persists when ignored. It sneaks into our behavior, undermining relationships, self-esteem, and lifestyles. No, the shadow is not your enemy. It houses your creativity, insight, and emotional depth. You must incorporate your shadow to be whole. It requires compassion and guts to look inward. It means no longer hiding your unattractive or uncomfortable bits. This effort is hard, but necessary. To truly confront the shadow within, it is essential to first understand yourself, your whole self. Carl Jung, a pioneering figure in psychology, defined the self as the totality of your being. This includes both your conscious and unconscious mind, and it goes beyond the roles or masks you present to the world. According to Jung, the self encompasses everything within you, including the aspects of you that remain hidden or unacknowledged. Jung believed that the ultimate purpose of life is not to fit into societal molds or conform to expectations, but to become whole. This journey of becoming whole is what he referred to as individuation. Discovering yourself is not something that happens in an instant or through some divine revelation. It is not about sudden enlightenment or magical clarity. Instead, it is a gradual process that requires deep introspection and the courage to face your fears, doubts, and illusions. It's about walking a long, often difficult path, one that challenges your sense of identity and forces you to acknowledge that many of your past choices were influenced by factors beyond your conscious control. This realization is terrifying for most people, which is why many never truly discover their authentic selves. They remain locked in their personas, the public faces they present to others, while their shadow, the darker, unconscious parts of themselves, silently manipulates their actions. When you finally embrace your shadow and release the grip of the persona, something remarkable happens. You begin to experience a profound sense of freedom. No longer do you feel the need to impress others or live up to external expectations. You stop pretending to be someone you're not. Instead, you start living according to your true principles, making decisions that reflect your authentic beliefs. Life begins to feel more meaningful, more aligned with who you really are. As this process unfolds, you start to understand why certain patterns have repeated throughout your life. You see why certain relationships ended, or why you have always felt a sense of emptiness despite outward success. You begin to recognize that there has always been an inner voice guiding you, but you were too distracted by the need to fit in and conform to hear it clearly. There is, however, another critical realization on this journey. The self cannot be fully realized in isolation. There are deeper forces at work in your psyche that influence your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Forces you cannot fully comprehend until you learn to recognize them. This brings us to the concept of archetypes, which are central to understanding the unconscious mind. Jung argued that our rational thinking and everyday decisions are not enough to reveal the truth of our identity. To truly understand who we are, we must explore the unconscious, where hidden patterns and forces shape our sense of self. These forces are not random. They are archetypes, primordial, universal symbols that exist in every culture and across time. These archetypes are embedded in the collective unconscious, a shared mental space that connects all humans and gives rise to common patterns of thought, emotion, and behavior. Archetypes manifest in many forms, through myths, fairy tales, religions, and, most importantly, in our dreams and actions. You might feel inexplicably drawn to certain stories, symbols, or images because they resonate with archetypes within you. For example, the hero archetype is prevalent in most cultures. It represents someone who overcomes obstacles and strives for personal transformation. Similarly, the wise one symbolizes wisdom and reflection. The rebel challenges societal norms, and the caregiver is dedicated to protecting and nurturing others. The key thing to remember about archetypes is that they influence your life whether you are aware of them or not. They work beneath the surface, shaping your actions and desires in subtle ways. Problems arise when we identify too strongly with one archetype while ignoring others. If you identify only with the hero, you may feel compelled to always be strong and invincible, failing to recognize your vulnerabilities. If you see yourself solely as a caregiver, you may neglect your own needs in favor of others. To find your true self, you must learn to recognize which archetypes dominate your life and integrate those that have been suppressed or ignored. These archetypes often reveal themselves through recurring dreams, impulses, and unexplained patterns in your life. Ignoring them means you are missing out on important aspects of who you are. This is why so many people feel lost or disconnected from their true selves. They are unaware that these invisible forces, the archetypes, are shaping their decisions, relationships, and sense of purpose. The crucial question is, are these archetypes controlling you even if you don't recognize them? Your habits, your insecurities, and the choices you make are all influenced by them. By becoming conscious of these archetypes and integrating them into your life, you can regain control over your story. This process of integration is what separates those who discover their true selves from those who continue to live on autopilot. But what happens when you ignore these deeper forces? What if you deny the unconscious, resist the process of individuation, and continue to live behind masks and illusions? Jung warned that failing to embrace individuation leads to a fragmented life. People who ignore their true selves often experience a constant sense of unease, an emptiness that cannot be filled by external achievements or social approval. Many mistakenly believe that conforming to society's expectations will bring them peace, but this sense of calm is always fleeting. Eventually, something goes wrong. You might experience emotional crises that seem to come out of nowhere, or feel a deep sense of dissatisfaction even when everything outwardly appears perfect. Psychosomatic disorders and physical ailments can also arise when the mind and body signal that something is out of balance. These destructive patterns are a clear sign of non-individuation. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to repeat the same mistakes over and over? They might enter toxic relationships, sabotage their own success, or continue to feel unhappy despite achieving their goals. When we refuse to confront our unconscious, we become prisoners of it, allowing it to drive our actions without our awareness. Non-individuation also leads to a sense of existential boredom, a feeling of simply going through the motions of life without any real purpose or direction. Millions of people live in this way, adhering to inherited patterns and societal pressures without ever questioning if they are truly happy. The most dangerous consequence of this is resentment. If you deny your true self, you may feel anger, but you may not know where it's coming from. You might blame the world, your family, or society for your misery, or you might turn inward, transforming that anger into sadness, self-doubt, or isolation. But there is a way out. You can break free from this cycle and escape the invisible prison of your own mind. The key is to have the courage to face the truth, to examine your illusions, and to begin the process of individuation. This journey is not easy. It takes bravery, determination, and the willingness to look deep within yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. The central question is, what does it really mean to be yourself? What does life look like when you live without the masks, the suppression, and the fear of judgment? What happens when you finally uncover the truth about who you are? Finding your true self is not a one-time event. It's a lifelong journey, one of exploration, deconstruction, and reconstruction. It's a process that requires you to confront your shadows and dismantle the personas you've built up over the years. Few are willing to embark on this path, as most people fear rejection and resist facing the aspects of themselves they'd rather ignore. They shy away from their shadows and avoid recognizing the influence of their archetypes, because to do so means admitting they are not in complete control of their lives. This fear, however, leads to a life that feels hollow, inauthentic, and lacking in depth. Jung taught us that true freedom comes from becoming who we truly are, not from fitting into the mold society has set for us. It means embracing all parts of ourselves, the light and the dark, the good and the bad. It's about taking ownership of your life, rather than letting it be shaped by others. It's about stepping out from behind the curtain and becoming the author of your own story. This path requires immense courage. The courage to let go of old beliefs, to face your deepest fears, and to accept that you may not be who you thought you were. But that's okay, because through this process, you can become someone much more authentic, more vibrant, and more alive. Are you ready for this challenge? Are you willing to question your identity, confront your repressed parts, and step into your true self? What part of this message resonates most with you? Have you ever felt that you were living a false identity? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're ready to continue on this journey of self-discovery, be sure to watch the next video. This exploration has only just begun.